All right, welcome everybody. Welcome to Jason's Advocacy Corner. And back up by popular demand is George Garcia. So, and today we're going to talk about travel. So let's talk about it. George, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is George Garcia. I'm Executive Director of Southwest Institute for Families and Children. And for the purposes of this show, I am a C4 quadriplegic. That means I am paralyzed from the shoulders down and use a power motorized wheelchair to get around.
And I guess I should mention that I have a disability as well. I have CP. In case this is the first time you've seen this YouTube channel, which if this is the first time, please subscribe, like, or and comment. Feel free to comment in chats about anything we're talking about here. And I should mention also that last time George, we talked about supported decision making, and ultimately that bill has moved forward and in the legislatures and will be passed soon, and we will become the 20th state to have supported decision making, and that's due to all the work that you guys have put in. And so we thank you if you contacted your legislator, Arizona legislator, and told them all about supported decision making. So
Awesome.
with that, let's go with the first questions. So George, what is some of the coolest places you traveled to?
Oh man, I love traveling. Uh, I love going to, let's see. Well, I've done travel for both work and for fun. But let's see, I've been to Chicago. I've been to Washington, D.C. several times. New York City, Minnesota, that's the St. Paul, Minneapolis area. I've been to Birmingham, Alabama, and then, of course, all around here in the southwestern area. So San Diego, Los Angeles, Las Vegas, El Paso, Texas. I have family there. So yeah, and then parts of Mexico because I am Mexican and I have my family there too.
I don't know about actually visit El Paso. It's one of my favorite places, but it's an interesting place.
That's why I threw in there. I have family
there. Yeah, I just I've been to Hawaii, and also Washington D.C. is also pretty cool. Hawaii, but like I said, Hawaii was probably one of the most enjoyable places. This
Yeah.
could be Hawaii. And I also went to Colorado with the Vail, which is actually pretty accessible, mostly because it's a attraction for elderly or the retired generation. So everything there is pretty accessible for me as well. And some other and Oklahoma, but I go there because I have family as well, and so and DC is also good. I like the food. So anyway, um, so how do we travel with disability there, George?
Carefully. On a wing and a prayer. Let's see. Well, traveling is daunting. It is something that takes some careful planning, but it's not impossible and it can be quite enjoyable. So for myself, it does take a lot of planning to travel. So we start obviously well in advance by getting our reservations in. If we are flying, when you do book an airline ticket, there is on there an option to request assistance for accessibility. And you let them know that you're going to be traveling in a power chair if you use a wheelchair. They also have options for people that may have need assistance if maybe if they're blind or if they're deaf. But in my case, I use a power chair. So I let them know that I have a power chair that will be going with me so that they're prepared to store that in the plane because I do not. Right now, they do not have that option of flying in your wheelchair, so you have to be transferred. And I will need assistance to be transferred from my power chair to an aisle chair. An aisle chair is what is used to wheel me into the airplane, and then also need assistance to transfer from the aisle chair to the chair, or to the airline seat, I mean. And then also assistance to deboard the plane. That's just the flight part. But then again, you also have to worry about transportation when you get to your destination. So of course, planning how do you get from the airport to your hotel, and then from there, how you do plan to get around in the areas that you're visiting, whether you're renting a van or using public transportation. And aside from that, taking all the medical supplies that I need. So whether it's medications or any of the other medical supplies that I need for my daily care.
Yeah, I do that. Like George was saying, like I also you want to tell the airline when you book the ticket and put that in there. But also when you get there, go to the desk and also tell them that you're there and you need help. Reiterate what you need. So and reiterate as many times as you can within the process. Just because stuff gets lost or you don't communicate sometimes. Also,
Oh yeah.
and I don't use a power chair. I use a power chair sometimes, but normally when I travel, I don't use a power chair. But they want to know how to take it apart and different things like that. So, yeah, but it's basically the same process.
Yeah, what I like you said, obviously, do let them know when you're booking your flight, your accessibility needs. But yes, I agree. When you get there, when you go to the ticket agent to check in any baggage, you do have to check in your chair. So you go to the check-in counter and you let them know, hey, you're flying, and they'll put some tags on your chair. And right then and there, you tell them, hey, I need assistance to get on the plane. I need an aisle chair. They'll put it in their system, and they'll put the tags that they need to put on your chair. They'll ask you questions like, does it have a battery? How much does the chair weigh? Guesstimate. I always tell them 300 pounds. I'm not sure how much this chair weighs, but I'm pretty sure it's pretty heavy. So I let them know. When I get to TSA, I go through the fast lane check-in area, because even though it says it's for people with pre-boarding passes and VIPs or whatever term they use, it's also for people with disabilities. So I just cut through all that line and get to the front, because they're going to do some extensive searches on me since I can't go through metal detectors. They're going to do all sorts of wipe downs and touch all sorts of places that I think that person now owes me dinner. And then when I get to the gate, I let the gate know that I need assistance and I need an aisle chair, just in case that information didn't get to them and they do not know. And they'll do what's called pre-boarding, where I'll get on the plane first before they allow anybody else to get on the plane, once they are ready to get people on the plane.
And I always tell them they'll be a Greek after they do the search, because that's and then there's some extensive searching there sometimes. I think one time I had to get out of the chair and they had to open up some of the holes and stuff to look and stuff. And I was like, all right. But anyway,
wow,
it was pretty cool. I mean, it took a long time actually. And I was like, I'm gonna miss my flight. But anyway, I didn't, but I'm with you.
But that does bring up a good point. It does take a long time. So if your flight is at, let's say, 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning, get there 2 hours ahead of time. You don't know how long it's going to take you to get through security, get through the whole process, and then you want to get there early enough so that they have time to pre-board you before they need to get every other passenger in there. So don't get there, half an hour before your flight thinking you're going to be fine. Make sure that you're there at least an hour and a half or 2 hours ahead of schedule so that you get everything taken care of.
Well, that leads us into our next question, actually. Tips and tricks for people with disabilities who people with disabilities who travel. So, what are some tips and tricks that you know of or that you use?
Yeah. Research. Whenever I travel, whether it's for work or for vacations, I do lots of research on where I'm going. What are my transportation options? Do they have a light rail or do they have a subway? Is it wheelchair accessible? What are the places that I can visit? Public transportation, how does that work? Is it on any public transportation routes? Are the places that I want to visit wheelchair accessible? It's funny. I'll watch videos like on YouTube of the places that I want to go to, and while everybody may be watching the video to see the cool sights and stuff, I'm watching the background of the videos to see where are the accessibility points. I'll be watching the video, looking at the background. Person may be talking and showing the video or showing the areas and showing the cool attractions. I'm sitting there watching. Okay, there's a ramp. Okay, there's a wheelchair entrance area. There's the places that I can get around in that area. So always doing research. I'm on chat rooms, whether it's on Reddit or doing just Google searches to see what people are saying about the different attractions, just to make sure that I'm going to be able to get through that area safely and enjoy my time. So always do your research on where you plan to go and how you plan to get there and get around.
Right, there's some companies that say they can help you with this disability and different things like that on Google. If you Google them, but I haven't used them. I generally do my own research, as George has mentioned, because the best person that knows that knows what I need is me. So that's what I try to do.
And it's always an adventure.
Yeah.
And some things may not work out, and that's just part of the trip. Have backup plans. If that doesn't work, what else can you do? So always think about the different things or options you may have when visiting a location.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Part of the travel is part of the fun is figuring stuff out and going on adventures and things like that. And I think if you're in a chair, you can experience that a little more than a person who can do more able-bodied things, I guess. If that's the right term. But it's just anytime you travel with some adventure, so just have fun. And you're gonna have obstacles. Well, part of it is getting around those obstacles and experiencing new things. So, and because I know there's a lot of people that think that people with disabilities can't travel or don't travel or don't get out there. And the reality is we do. You can and we do. it's a good thing for us to do that. One of the
Yeah.
tips that I think is I use a push assist chair, which has a battery in it, but I can take those wheels off. If you know, if I need to, if I'm traveling and put normal wheels on, so then I don't have to worry about the extra weight and stuff. So I think if you're able to do that, that's a good tip is to leave those heavier wheels behind because it's gonna make it easier for you to travel if you can. And in my position, I can. I realize that there's some people that might not be able to do that, but anything that can help you process, I encourage you to people to do that. Because again, it's based on your own abilities. Um, and the question I get uh, I've received is how do I deal with my prescription medications and different things like that. So, George, if you want to touch on that a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I take my medications that I know I'm gonna need for that trip, and then I take extra.
Yeah.
I always take extra because you never know if something happens and you might have to extend your trip for some reason. You know, you get stuck in a city or something like that. So you always take extra. I always take extra everything. I know if I'm going to be gone for a few days, it's how much I usually use in medication or usually use in medical supplies. I take more because you never know what's going to happen. So you always have that extra medication as backup also. Take your doctor's information, take your doctor's phone number. If maybe something happens and you lose your medicines and you're in a different city, you can call your doctor and say, hey, I'm in this location. I lost my medication. Can you please call in a prescription or see what you can do to make sure that you get your supplies and your medicine if you do lose it. Time changes. Beware of those time changes. I take my pills every 6 hours, but if I'm going from here to the East Coast, that's a 3 hour time difference. So I have to make sure that I keep that in mind when I take my next medication. If I took it here in Phoenix and then I'm in New York, that's a 3 hour difference. So I have to make sure that I keep that in mind just so that I don't take my pills too early or too late.
That's a good point. You don't do that then.
That or I'm able to skip one dose and still be okay, and then that'll get me back on schedule. If you're able to do that, then that's good. If not, just be aware of those time changes.
And I think it's important to know also that if you have medications and if you have medical devices like me, that stuff should go on, that it should go on as a carry on or and it should be free for you to carry that stuff on under the Air Carriers Act. It's a free bag. So anything that bag should be free. If you
I take my medicine and my medical supplies with me on the plane.
Yeah.
As a carry-on. I do not put it in as luggage. Or at least I might take a large supply of it with me on the plane. And then if I need extra, I'll put it in my luggage, and if I do check in luggage. But for the most part, the medicine comes with me, supplies comes with me, because if that gets lost, then I got bigger problems than anything else. Speaking of stuff that you can carry on a plane, if you're in a power chair, everything that can be taken off your chair should be taken off your chair and brought with you on the plane. So in my case, I take my headrest off, I disconnect some of the switches, carry those with me. Anything that can be taken off. Before my chair had footrest, it could be removed, and armrest, it could be removed. This chair doesn't have that option anymore. But anything that can be taken off, the cushion, all that stuff goes with me on the plane. In fact, I sit on my cushion in the airplane, so
Yeah.
I carry that with me. Just less stuff that can get damaged.
Right, it's the same thing with me too. I take everything off that I can, all the straps, everything that I can, so that it won't get lost. Because it's not that I don't trust the airlines, but you know, I've had experiences and I don't trust anybody. So myself, that's one of the things.
I also take the air pump for my cushion, and I take some Allen wrenches with me because if anything gets bent out of place or something needs to be tightened or anything, I got the wrenches with me to get that working.
That's a good point too. Yeah, I should take some wrenches. That's a good point. Speaking
Never
about
know.
that, are you a overpacker or do you pack like
No, I take everything and the kitchen sink. Just in terms of supplies and stuff.
yeah.
Clothes, I can wear the same clothes every once in a few days in a row. I don't stink.
Yeah.
But yeah, I make sure that I take that. You know, one of the things that I've also started doing is I take a backpack, and if it's going to be a city in which I'm going to be going, you know, traveling in my chair for long distances, especially like places like Washington, D.C., where, you know, you're on and off the metro, which is, I think Washington, D.C. is one of the most accessible cities. I haven't had any problems there.
Yeah.
The metro is it's a dream because everything is level. You can get on and off the metro, and it seems like almost every elevator up to the city has worked in my experience. Unlike the subway in New York, which is not accessible at all. But anyway, what I was going to say is, in cities where you're going to be rolling around for long distances, I take my battery with me. I've had an experience where we got lost in Washington, D.C., trying to get to the Lincoln Memorial, and we finally found it. We were on our way to it, and I told my brothers, I looked down at my chair, noticed that my battery was in the red, and I said to them, well, we have an option here. We have choices. We can either see the Lincoln Memorial or we can head back to the hotel, but we can't do both. So we ended up heading back to the hotel, and they ended up having to push me back to the hotel because I didn't make it all the way because my battery ran out. So now in those types of cities, you know, I have a backpack. I'll take my charger with me. And, you know, if my battery does run out, you know, we'll pull into a Starbucks or we'll pull into a restaurant and just see if I can get close to an outlet and plug it in for a few minutes, you know, just to give me a couple of squares on my battery.
Yeah. That's important. I remember one time my wife had to, so I was using the power chair, and my wife had to push the chair the last couple of feet, and she's like, oh, I'm not doing that again. So we're gonna have to come up with a different solution. If you know, make sure your battery charges all the time, and take your charger with you. So I learned that the hard way, or not the hard way, but the hard way.
Yeah, or I'll just divide the day in two, you know. Go out in the morning, do everything that you want to do, and then come back and get a break and put your chair to charge for an hour or two, and then head back out in the afternoon.
Yeah, you can do it that way as well. But the important thing is that you gotta kind of plan ahead as much as you can to do what works for you. All right. Well, let me do a fun question. Where do you, where do you want to travel to that you haven't been to yet?
Well, let's see. I want to. My dream is to go to Mexico City. That is going to be a lot of planning. I'm not sure about accessibility. I'm not sure about transportation. That one seems to be pretty difficult to figure out, but I've always wanted to go to Mexico City. That's to go see the Anthropology Museum. I'm a nerd like that. Yeah, that would be a dream. Europe is also one of those things that seems much more doable. But I mean, you got to remember that cities that are old, I mean, even in the United States, like New York City or even parts of Europe or Mexico City, accessibility is pretty difficult, but it's not impossible. And that's high on the list of where I want to go.
You know, I went to Cancun. I thought that was gonna be difficult, but it turned out to be easier than I thought. But I haven't been to Mexico City yet.
Oh wow, yeah, yeah. I've been to parts of Chihuahua where my family's from, and the newer parts are very accessible. Their designs, their accessibility is, you know, pretty on par with what the ADA is here. So it's just the older parts that you do have to worry about. And then, you know, you get to some of the parts of the city where maybe there's no sidewalks and stuff, but you know, you deal with it. You just figure out ways around, and that's part of the fun of travel. I'm also going on a cruise, and so that's going to be fun. I never been on a cruise, but it looks very accessible, so I can't wait.
Yeah, we'll see. Let me know how that goes. My wife wants to go on a cruise. I'm like, I don't know. We'll see. So
You know, you'd be surprised how accessible it looks, and I've had some other friends go on cruises before, and they're in wheelchairs, so you know, it's they've had good experiences.
yeah, I want to go to like Rome and Australia. Rome because I like to eat and I want to, you know, I want to try the new foods. Mostly, that's what attracts me mostly is foods. I watch the Food Network a lot, and I'm like, I need to go try that. I need to go check this out, and
Yeah.
that's what I do. But
Oh yeah. Oh God. Oh, that's part of the fun traveling. You know, when we went to Hawaii, uh, right by Waikiki Beach, there's this area where it's a lot of outdoor food vendors, and it's great because it's not like your just typical, you know, Panda Express or whatever. It's small mom and pop food vendors from all around the South Pacific. So you could really try food from all sorts of areas that are in the South Pacific area.
yeah, I went to the Big Island, so I didn't go. But next time I'll go. But yeah, next time.
So
So,
let's see, there you go.
check it out.
But yeah, the food is definitely high on my list. When we went to Chicago, one of my favorite chefs is Rick Bayless, and he's from Chicago, so I tried two of his restaurants. That was high on my list. And then pretty much copying everything that Ferris Bueller did.
That's awesome.
Just didn't get to go see that Cubs game. Oh wow.
You didn't get to go see. That's what I do too. So I go to like Wrigley Field and all the baseball fields because I love baseball. But
Yeah. Yeah, I still regret not going. But we just couldn't fit it into our schedule.
yeah,
We did the boat ride though down the canal or down the Chicago River, I mean.
that's cool.
So that was fun.
I would ask people because I was just thinking about this. I know we talked about George being overpacker packing, but I wanted to see if people in the chat put if they're overpackers or underpackers. I know my wife, and hopefully maybe she watches this, but she's more of an overpacker than I am, which I thought was interesting because I do take stuff for the equipment and things like that. But she packs more stuff for a 2-day trip than it looks like we're going for a month. So it's just funny to me if you're an underpacker or overpacker, and listen. So if you're one of those, feel free to comment in the chat. Also, comment if you would like us to do more videos like this or any other videos topics you want us to talk about. And if you want to come on the show and join the conversation, you can do that as well. I just want to say appreciate George coming on. I'll probably see him. You'll probably see him again sometime. So, thanks, George.
Hey man, whatever you want.
All right.
All right, thank you.